channel where we break down different steps in line dancing completely without having to worry about learning other steps like you would if you were learning a dance. Today we're going to talk about hitches, hooks, and flicks. And what is the difference between all three? We're going to talk about the footwork needed to do those, where they usually happen, and some of the counts that you may see used when you are doing these steps. A lot of these will come as a combination of other steps. So either step forward or heel movements or steps to the side. They usually kind of accompany other movements. But first we're going to talk about hitches. Hitches, the basics footwork for a hitch means that you're going to bring your knee up with your foot pointed towards the ground. Sometimes you'll see people tell you to point your toe, but you just want your foot facing the ground parallel to it and your knee slightly up. It will be the same thing for the other side. So you don't have to bring it up super high, just kind of comfortable angle where you're kind of like stepping up on a stair. Now, sometimes these will change directions. Instead of just coming up and down, they may tell you to hitch around or do a rotating hitch, and all that means is you're going to hitch your knee up, but you're going to bring it around to the side and do another step following it, either backward or something like that. You may also see a hitch and step back instead of a hitch and step down. It all depends on the dance. A lot of times you'll see hitches following grapevines. In some beginner dances, you'll see hitches. Those are those up and down movements. As you get further into dancing and you start doing some of those intermediate or even improver dances, you'll see people do those hitches that will travel slightly backward. But the important thing about a hitch is no matter where it goes, you want to make sure that you're keeping your foot parallel to the floor. You don't want it to start coming out to the side while you're doing those motions. Keep that foot parallel to the floor, and no matter where you step it after, you want to make sure that foot is parallel to the floor. So now, let's talk about hooks. You're going to see hooks in two different ways. Sometimes you'll see them going forward. Sometimes you'll see them coming back. The back ones are sometimes considered flicks or sometimes considered hooks. So you just got to kind of know that they could be both depending on the choreographer. I'm going to show you them as hooks, but know that on some step sheets they may be called flicks. So that hook, I'm going to face front so that you can see it, will usually follow some sort of heel motion. So your heel would be out somehow, either front or slightly to the side, and you're going to bring your right heel up to your left shin. So you should make a figure 4 with your lower legs, right? And then it would come back down in some sort of heel motion. Usually you see these with heel, hook, heel, step, heel, hook, heel, step. Those are usually kind of how you see those front hooks. And it would be the same thing if you did it to the front with your right or the front with your left. You're still going to make that figure 4. You want to make sure that you're not bringing it up too high. So not up to your knee. It should be at a comfortable position between your ankle and your knee, somewhere lower towards the body, closer to the floor. Because the important thing with all these steps is that you don't go up too high. You want to keep them nice and low because it will help with your speed. Now, I did mention that you could also do it to the back. You will see these called hooks a lot when you bring your foot to the calf. Same thing as you would in the front, making that figure 4, but your heel is coming to your calf. You'll see this called a lot when people want to slap their heels behind. They call this a hook, and you will slap your heel. Sometimes it will be called a flick as well, but just know that it could be considered either, right? Now, the third one was a flick. And I did mention sometimes this back motion where your right foot comes behind your left or your left foot becomes behind your right can also be considered flicks, or you might see them as hooks depending on who the choreographer is. But let's talk about a flick. Now, a flick is a backward motion with your foot. Usually they either go directly back or they might go slightly out to the side. But all it means is that foot is coming back towards the back side of your body. So out towards 6 o'clock or out towards 6, but slightly to the corner, so more like 4:30, right? So it's going to be some sort of motion kind of like that. Those are the two main times that you see it. You may also see this called a flick if they want you to go slightly behind. Just make sure that you are reading the step sheet to know where they want that flick to go. So now let's talk about the counts that may come with them. Now they could be considered whole counts or 1, 2, or you may see it as and counts where they want you to move it a little bit quicker. 1 and or and 1, all of those kind of steps may happen using these 3 motions. So you could do that heel hook as 1, 2, right? So the hook itself is 1 count, but you may see it as an and count as well. So this is why I said most of these are going to follow another step or be in combination with other steps. The heel hooks, you're going to see them as steps that kind of are in between other ones, usually heels. So it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, or it could be 1 and 2 and make them syncopated. No matter if they're syncopated or whole count, that motion is the same, just kind of the rhythm of how you're doing it is going to be a little bit different. Now hitches, same thing. It could be, these hitches could be kind of quick. And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, right, if we were heading backwards. Or you may see it as 1, step 2. But just like the hook, the actual knee motion up is 1 count and your step down will be another count. So even if it's and 1, and 2, or it's 1, 2, 3, 4, each one of those is going to have a count. So you want to make sure if you're somebody writing step sheets, you account for that step down as a count. So if you're doing it syncopated, you want to make sure that you are adding that and count. Placing that foot down does count as a step. Same thing with the flicks back. It could be 1, 2, 3, 4, like you see in some dances where they're hitting, right? A flick. It could be quick and 1, but again, the flick actual motion is a count, and then it usually requires you to step down, which will be a different count. Those are all the ways to do a hook, a hitch, or a flick. I hope this helps you learn the difference between the two and kind of how to do them with your body. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks, guys.